Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here. Welcome back to another video for Paper Mario the Origami King. It's not too long now till the game launches. We are basically a month away. It launches on July 17th. Cannot wait for this one, but recently Nintendo dropped a new video giving us a slightly extended look at some gameplay. And for those of you guys that saw the announcement trailer and maybe had some questions regarding gameplay mechanics, specifically the combat system, then this video does a good job of showcasing some of that. So I thought I'd break it down into basically 5 things that we learned that you'll definitely want to know about regarding the Origami King. So if you guys do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Let me know in the comments down below who is picking this up next month. Are you guys excited? Are you hoping this is going to be a return to form for Paper Mario? Either way, let me know down below. And of course, don't forget to keep it locked for plenty more gaming videos. But starting at the top, the first thing, arguably the most important thing when it comes to Paper Mario is the battle system. This is something that I myself have actually been quite fortunate with. I spoke about this in the announcement trailer for Origami King. The last Paper Mario that I played was actually the 1000-Year Door, so I kind of stopped playing Paper Mario at a good time because my only memory of it is a great memory. Whereas a lot of people have said since that game it sort of went downhill, especially with the kind of recent sort of sticker edition. So it seems that this is a return to form because the battle system returns to the kind of turn-based setup it had before, but it has a really interesting mechanic this time around. It's not just turn-based battles, it has this sort of ring grid section to it, or these kind of different rings that you go into battle. And what will basically happen is initially when you start a battle, you'll have a little timer and you can then spin the rings around to reposition the enemies so that you can then have like more advantageous positions to attack from. If you get into a setup where you can line up a lot of enemies and you can then jump all their heads back to back, you can of course do a lot of damage to a large group of enemies. You might have an item that does larger AoE damage, so if you can group them together and put them, side by side, then you can hit them all at the same time. There's lots of kind of ways to sort of set it up, but you have to do that at the beginning. So there's almost like a semi, I'm not kind of, I'm using the word super lightly, but semi kind of puzzle element to it because, before you start the battle, you want to sort of think about how you can spin these rings the most effective way so that you can then make the most of your battles. Because obviously once the timer's run out and the grid is set, then you're going to need to fight the enemies wherever they stand. So, if you do leave them scattered, it's not to say you can't complete it, but it's going to be significantly longer and potentially more difficult as the game progresses. Of course, as you'd expect from, a game like this, you also have a selection of different weapons. So, you're not just going to have your hammer, you obviously have different items you can use. The fire flower, power box, they're just a few examples, but all of those combined with the ring positioning is basically going to be how you're going to get the most out of combat. Honestly, I think this is actually quite a cool system because, it does still return to the turn-based setup, so you kind of get that fan favorite gameplay mechanic, but the new sort of ring system, the ring kind of split idea, actually makes the sort of setup process, the like initial pre-battle, slightly more impactful. Of course, moving on from there to speak about boss battles, the question is, how is it going to work for boss battles? Because, of course, you're not going to be moving the boss around. There is, of course, one central boss. They are rather hilariously themed as well, of course, because everything here is about origami, paper and whatnot. You kind of go out to these different kingdoms, these different environments that are sort of led by these streamers. And at the end of these streamers are these kind of paper-themed enemies. You have a big rubber band boss, you have a sellotape reel, you even have like some color pencils. But when it actually comes to combat with them, the ring system takes on a different form. Instead, you adjust the rings and spin them around to effectively create a path for Mario to get to the boss to do damage. But instead of just going straight ahead and attacking, if you adjust the rings so that you then pass through power-ups, you can of course, power yourself up and of course get different like buffs or, different effects before you get to the boss to ideally then deliver a devastating blow. So that is basically how the mechanic will differ depending on whether you're fighting, regular trash mobs that you'll find out around the world or if you're fighting a boss. Of course, on top of that, point number 3, we have lots of companions you'll of course encounter throughout the game. Olivia is your companion that will just follow you throughout. She is the sister of the Origami King, but she's obviously there to try and help you and lead you. But when it actually comes to combat, you'll of course have characters like the Bomb, you of course have Toad Professor, maybe even Bowser at some point. It looks like he may well be joining us. But there's even like a little kind of snippet in the clip where there are times we see Mario riding like a giant blue dragon and breathing out like some kind of watery blast on this fire enemy. Whether that is a companion you can actually use or whether it's much more kind of linked to an item that you might just use to summon it for like a one-turn sort of thing. But it looks like, the kind of companion edition, we've seen this before. We've obviously had companions in previous games, but nice to see them making a return because that's of course going to add some more interesting dynamics to combat. Now, when it comes to exploring the world, of course, the world itself just looks fantastic. I've got to say, like, I love the visual style for this, the whole sort of origami look to it, the folded paper look to it, and just sort of, you know, when they're kind of driving around, exploring, going over the ocean, all those things. It looks fantastic. But when you're exploring the open world, outside of the main story stuff, outside of the main quest, you also have the ability to go around, look for some collectibles, and toads basically take the form of sort of hidden, disguised items. So you can kind of look at like toads in this game like Arekkz in Breath of the Wild, because they'll often be hidden in plain sight. Toads are basically folded up in different shapes, and then when you hit them with your hammer, it reveals them. And the game said there may well be benefits for collecting all of the hidden toads. We see a little snippet of that because they tend to like surround your battle arena, so it may well be that the more you get, the more, I don't know, the more buffs you get, the more they can assist you in combat. Either way, for those of you that want to get the most out of the game, you're definitely going to want to be going off the beaten track and effectively hitting everything with your hammer, because it might just be a folded up toad. And then finally, for the last thing, we of course have some mini-games. We have kind of fun side distraction, again, alongside the main campaign, but the game does have its fair share of mini-games. Some of them we get to sort of see in the gameplay. They look really, really good fun, and obviously it might be one of those things where that also links to special items, so it could be something worth doing, you know, like one of those things where you don't just do it to pass some time, you may well get some items or some, you know, secrets hidden from it, so definitely worth our time. But anyway, for the time being, that's a quick rundown on what we've seen so far on Paper Mario. Again, comes out next month, July 17th, so not too long to wait now, so definitely kind of wait for this. Of course, as and when we get close to launch, I'll be bringing you guys some more gameplay, so definitely stick around for that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.